Hi guys, today we're going to be going through the BCS Business Analysis Practitioner Certificate sample paper. It's just to give you a bit of an insight into how the questions are answered, or rather how they're asked, and also to give you a little bit of an idea of how to answer them or what to look for when you are actually reading the questions in the paper. But just remember that you're not going to get these same questions in your exam because the BCS or the institute that you'll actually be writing the exam through will have multiple papers that they'll circulate. So it's unlikely that you'll be getting these questions. But that being said, you might still get questions that might be similar to these ones. And sometimes you might even get a few of these that might crop up here and there. But just to give you an overview of how to answer or what to look for in these questions when you are writing your own papers. So let's look at the first question. The first question states that Jeremy and Maria both work as prison officers. They agree that prison should be a means of both punishment and rehabilitation of prisoners before they return to the outside world. However, they do not agree on the range of opportunities that should be available to prisoners while they are serving their sentences. Jeremy, for example, does not think that it is right to provide significant, costly education services for its prisoners. Maria, on the other hand, thinks it is perfectly reasonable to do so and that education is an important aspect of rehabilitation. If a business analyst produced CATWOEs for Jeremy and Maria, in which of the following elements would the difference of opinion be recorded? And then they've given 4 answers, of which it's a multiple choice question. So we're going to have to select one of these 4. Because they haven't given us any further instructions on to select more than one answer. But if we look at the 4 choices, we've got A, B, C, and D. So A is customer, B is actor, C is transformation, and D is worldview. Okay, so now if we think about this, let us now first analyze this text inside this question to first identify what are they actually asking us for? What are they assessing us on? Which area of the business analysis practitioner syllabus do they want to test us on? So, as we know that business analysis practice is all about the practical element of business analysis. A lot of it is focused on the actual techniques that we'll be using as a business analyst. So in a lot of these questions here, they'll actually be asking us for our application of knowledge to a specific technique. So the first thing what we can do is actually look through the text and see if we can identify a technique that may spark our memory from our course or the textbook or from what you have learnt in your business analysis studies. So if we look through this text here, we can see that they mention CATWOE. So we know that CATWOE is a technique that business analysts or people in the business or project worlds use to understand the perspectives of stakeholders and groups. So when they have various people that are, whether they're eliciting information from them, whether they are trying to understand a specific business context or develop a strategy or even change a process or implement a new IT system, a business analyst may need to first understand the different perspectives of these different groups of people. So here we can use the CATWOE technique. So what we would do is we would take all of the stakeholders or the groups in our project or who are relevant to our project, and we'd maybe carry out a series of workshops or interviews and ask these people a series of questions that are related to the CATWOE of CATWOE, to understand all of their perspectives of all of these categories of things. So if we think of, we know that the C element of CATWOE is the customer element, which are the people that will be receiving the output of the process that we are considering, or the project, or whichever aspect of business analysis we actually looking at or examining. So the customers are the people that receive the output. If we think of an example, so say we are analyzing a gym. So there's a training institution. There's a place where people go to exercise and carry out various strength training exercises and use equipment throughout the day. So it's a business, and we're analyzing this business. If we think of the customers, these would be the people that are actually using the equipment and the services of the gym. They might be people that are coming in there that using personal instructors that are helping them to use the equipment, or they may be attending certain classes such as yoga or spinning classes and such. But what we have to look at here is, if we think about CATWOE, if we're analyzing various stakeholders and looking at this gym, for example, let's say we ask various members of staff. We want to see the different perspectives of various members of staff in the gym. So we ask the gym instructors, we ask the front desk staff, we also then go and ask the managers or the owners of the gym what their perspectives on the customer element of CATWOE is. So who do they think the customers of the gym are? And what you would find is, even though most of the time it's fairly obvious and stakeholders will agree on the perspectives, that they're people there, they've come to train, they've come to get healthy and exercise and such, there'll be slight differences between these perspectives. And there sometimes are reasons for this. So maybe the gym instructors work in the morning, so they're more likely to see people that are younger, they're on their way to work. And in the afternoon, there may be a different category of person, maybe an older category of person that is coming after work in the evenings. So it may be a 40 to 50 to 60 category of person. Or maybe even in the afternoons, they do exercise classes. So when they ask the people that are carrying out the exercise classes who the customer element of CATWOE is, they would then say that these are maybe predominantly women that are coming for yoga and spinning and more of exercise classes rather than strength training exercises. So you can see that different stakeholders will have different perspectives on who the customer element of CATWOE is. So I've gone off on a bit of a tangent here, but I just wanted you to sort of use an example so we could clearly understand what CATWOE is used for in this gym example. So the A elements of CATWOE would be the actors. These are the people that actually carry out the work in the process in the gym. It's the instructors, the cleaners, the managers, people that are actually doing the job inside the organization or the process in order to transform this input into an output. They're the people that are doing the work. So the C is the customers, the A are the actors, which are the staff or the people. Then we have the T, which is the transformation element of CATWOE, which is actually the operations or the specific processes and actions that are at the heart of what the organization actually does. So is it people that are cleaning the gym equipment? Is it the instructors who are helping people to do their exercises correctly? Is it the managers or the front desk staff that are actually carrying out these processes? So the actors actually perform the elements of the T inside the transformation element, but the transformation are the specific actions or the process in order to transform an input into an output. In the gym, it would be taking people that are unhealthy and making them healthy. It would be people that are weak and making them strong. So it's all of these processes that are the heart of inputs becoming outputs. The W is the worldview, which is the overview of what the organization does. So it's making people's lives better in terms of health. So it's the belief of what the organization does from an overview perspective. The difference between the T and the W is that the T is the transformation. It's the actual actions and operations and processes within the organization in order to transform, to carry out its service, to create a product or deliver a product or whatever the organization is doing. The W is the worldview. It's the overview of what the organization does. If it's an environmental charity, that it might be rehabilitating forest areas. If it's a car manufacturer, it's producing quality vehicles. If it's at the gym, it's the gym is there. It exists to actually make people healthier and give people the service of being able to exercise. So the E, the final element of CATWOE, is the environment, which is the environment in which the organization exists. And it's not necessarily the actual, let's say the grass and the trees and the buildings outside. And yes, that is an aspect of it, but it's other factors too. It's the policies, it's the regulations, it's aspects of what the transformation and the actors and the customers and how they're actually taking place in this organization. What kind of environment do they exist in? Where does the organization sit inside this? How does it sit in the place, in the environment, in order to carry out its services or deliver its products? So now that we've carried we've covered all the elements of CATWOE, we need to now look back at this question. And we look at the scenario with Jeremy and Mariah, who both work as prison officers. The first thing that we've done is we've identified the technique, which is CATWOE. And from CATWOE, we know that we are analyzing different perspectives of stakeholders. So if we look at this scenario here, we see that the two stakeholder perspectives are of Jeremy and Mariah, who are both prison officers. And we can see that they agree that the prisons should be a means of both punishment and rehabilitation of prisoners before they return to the outside world. So this is a perspective that they agree on. They agree that punishment and rehabilitation of prisoners should be what the output is before they return to the outside world. Now, if you look at what the question is actually asking for, it says, if a business analyst produced CATWOEs for Jeremy and Mariah, in which of the following elements would this difference of opinion be recorded? So they're asking for the difference of opinion. So now if we look back at the scenario and we see that they do not agree on the range of opportunities that should be available to prisoners while they are serving their sentences. So this is what the CATWOE is, the perspective is being asked in this specific question. The two perspectives are Jeremy and Mariah, but the actual category of this perspective that is being asked is the differences in opinion between the range of opportunities that are available to them. Now, if we use our understanding of CATWOE, we can see that the range of opportunities doesn't fall under C because they are not discussing, or they don't have a difference of opinion between who the prisoners are, who the C element, the customers of this system is. They are discussing something else. They're also not discussing maybe the prison wardens, who are the people that are carrying out the process, which is the A element, the actors in the system. Now, what they could be discussing is the T element, because it's the transformation. It's what are the actual processes, the activities at the heart of its operations that are turning the input into the output. And this is very well the T, the transformation element, because it is part of the actual operations of the prison. It's not an overview of what their perspectives are on what the whole prison does. That would fall under the world category, the worldview category of CATWOE. And if we actually look at the top here, we can see that this first statement, which is the statement that they agree on, they say that they agree that prisons should be a means of both punishment and rehabilitation of prisoners before they return to the outside world. This is the worldview aspect of CATWOE. This is an aspect that they agree on. So the correct answer here would be the transformation element. They're not discussing the environment in which the prison exists. They're not discussing the customers who's receiving the outputs. They're also not discussing the O element, who are the owners of the prison, who it may be government owned or maybe it's a private owned prison. But they're not discussing the differences between their perspectives of who owns the prison, which environment the prison exists in, who the customers are, the receivers of the output. They're not discussing or the differences in opinion as to who the actors are, the people who are actually carrying out the process. But they are discussing the specific operations within the system. So therefore, the correct answer is the T element of CATWOE. So now you know how to answer a question that is similar to this. You first, a lot of the time, it's about first looking for the technique, then using what you have learned from your course to first understand to remember what the technique is used for. Then looking at the context of the question to see how it all fits into place and what they're actually asking for in terms of applying your knowledge and testing what you know. And then you can start looking at the specifics of the technique, of the different features of the technique, and then identifying what the correct answer is. And a lot of the time, it can be easy where it's eliminating incorrect answers and you'll be able to identify the easy answer faster. But in the next session, we're going to be going through the second question in the sample paper, and I'll see you there. Cheers.